Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of Maximum Octane. I am your host, Kim Hickey. This is my co-host, Jason Patel. And we are broadcasting live on site from Waikoloa Villages.
Still here.
In Hawaii. We are still here. There will be
I don't want to leave.
more episodes. I know. I love this background, and I love that everything's going on outside and doing all of those things. So welcome back. We're happy to have you. And joining us today, Mr. David Boyd, and he's the CEO of Inbound Communication. Thank you for joining us.
Excellent to be here, and what a privilege to be in this setting.
Wow.
I'm glad I could travel all the way out here to meet with you and have a little chat.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
and
thanks.
Inbound Communication is one of our trusted partners that we work with here. And I think you heard in another episode or two, and probably a lot, even more over the years, of how important our partners are to us. And there's quite a big vetting process that goes through, because we have to make sure that everybody we partner with is going to service our members in the way that we do, and that we know and we say, give David a call, that the members aren't going to be calling saying, "What are you doing? Why are you standing there?" And we always try to make sure we can help our members build a team of all of the resources and the people that they need. So,
Which is a great approach.
yeah, this is your first time joining us for the Super Conference.
It is.
So we have a big trade show tonight.
I'm excited about that, of course. Yeah, it's a good opportunity to meet. And we've spent time here the week so far, getting to know the members. And of course, we've worked with a number of members over the years and getting to meet more people. I really appreciate the level of business acumen and confidence that the ATI member group has. So it's been fun getting to know everybody and having conversations. And that, of course, will go in rapid fire tonight as we have our trade show.
Yeah.
That sure will be. You'll be all talked out by the time.
I will, yeah. We got the voice
tonight,
beforehand.
by
so,
tonight,
yeah.
Kim. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey with Inbound and how that came about?
Great question, and I appreciate you asking. So I grew up in corporate America, and I was academically, I studied chemistry and engineering and never worked as a chemist, but I got into process engineering of all things. Back in the day, I worked at GE, and everybody was very indoctrinated in Six Sigma process methodology. So if you've heard of Six Sigma and the black belt, master black belt process, I'm a certified master black belt in Six Sigma. I was a process engineer at GE, and used that experience in a number of other Fortune 50 companies. And actually, I found myself on the bench in 2008 when the market went. So I was able to. I had the opportunity to recreate myself, and I was able to take the experience that I had in business process and adapt that into small business. So I got involved in a small business that was manufacturing, and helped that company grow. That was a very fantastic journey. That's where I was exposed to communication. I was exposed there to voice over IP, VoIP, we call that in the industry. But voice over IP, I think most people know that today, but this was 15 years ago. And I was exposed to VoIP, and then I left that business, started another business that was a call center, also in voice communication. And then almost 10 years ago now, left that business in my partner's very capable hands, and started Inbound. My goal with Inbound was really to do just a general communication service company. I was done with the call center environment. That was my former company. And running a call center is hard, very, very hard. Not that I'm not up to the challenge, but I thought I really needed to shift gears and do something different. So started Inbound right away, got exposed to the automotive aftermarket and the independent repair industry. I was invited to come alongside a friend of mine who at the time owned 6 locations, and just a week ago opened number 16.
Wow.
So he's had a good go of it, right?
Yeah.
So he was involved in a peer group process, and I didn't know that existed. So I was involved with his business in an operations and systems capacity. So business operations, the software, the tools, how do we work, this type of a thing, leveraging this process engineering background that I had but I also was doing the communication part of that. So got involved now in his 20 groups and going through the peer group process and the coaching process. And then it began to grow. So after about a year of this, I realized that there's such a high need in the independent automotive repair industry that I said, hey, I've got a lot of customers now in this arena, and I can super specialize and have best practices, be an expert both in the communication side of what's necessary to run and operate that business, but then also have this experience in the automotive repair industry.
What was one of the struggles that you ran into kind of with that transition?
I think perspective. So from the outside, my background is not in automotive repair. I know that there are others that have that similar story, but my background is not in automotive repair. I had a preconceived notion of what the industry is and who the people are, and I was completely upside down. So I had to retool my thinking process to understand that this is an area where I can make an impact, and the industry that I'm serving and the people in particular, I'm focused very intently on the people, that they're appreciative and capable and understanding and more sophisticated. So these are levers that I was able to pull and make a difference and see that actually come to life. But a lot of that started in my own mind and my own perception of what the industry was.
I think that translates so well with just the automotive industry in general, right? Most of the shop owners, most of the technicians, service, every aspect of the automotive shop is to do exactly that, right? How do we help people, and how do we make things better for
Right.
what our customers and whatnot? So I think your kind of transition to it was just very natural, right? I mean, this is something that you had a need for it. You saw the need that
Right.
the shops had, and you really just went full force and executed, right?
It was fun because as I was working in my friend's organization, I was at the various shops and seeing how the managers would work, see how the service advisors would work, and began to see trends and understand how they work. And I was asking questions like, why are you doing this? And why does it work that way? And
They must have loved that.
oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, like get out of my way. I've got a customer to call. So, the thing. So my process brain, I would always tune into these things like, why do you do it that way? Well, that's how I was taught. Or why do you do it that way? That's how we've always done it. And those are the big red flags. So I'm immediately thinking efficiency. Right? There's an opportunity here that we can do something differently, not to force change down somebody's throat, but actually impact their ability. And then I began to understand more about what makes a service advisor tick, what makes a manager, a general manager, an owner tick, what's important to them, and take the efficiency opportunity, frame this from the perspective of how can you write more repair orders? How can you increase your ARO? And look at the process and the systems that they're leveraging to do that to make them more efficient. And that's now where you gain the attention. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because Rick Johnson, one of our
Yeah.
coaches, I love him, and he's from Nebraska, so he has that Nebraska wisdom. But this is the way we always done it. I can't remember how
Don't
long
you have that banner in your office?
Yeah. But he had told me a story one time about, I don't know, his wife whatever she would make a roast or something, she'd cut like the end off, like a
Right.
piece of it.
Okay.
I've heard this. Yeah.
Yeah, and then his daughter, whatever, and it's just the way. And so the daughter was like, "Why the heck are you cutting that off?" And the mom was like, I don't know. That's why my mother. So the daughter was like, let's call grandma. Like, why are you cutting that off? And she was like, well, I don't know. That's the way my mother always did it. So they're like, well, let's call Nana, whatever. And they call her. And then the great grandma was like, I cut the end off that time because it didn't fit in the pan.
That's all the bigger the pan was.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like generation, right? They go
Oh,
down. But when
goodness.
you think about so many things that we do, and because we've always done it that way, is because there was a need to do it. Like we had to, because we didn't have something, or we didn't have the technology, or we didn't have the tool, or we didn't have a big enough pan. But it just gets, and that miscommunication gets passed down and passed down, right? So let's talk about communication for a minute, because that's a big word. It's a really big word. And there's so many avenues of communication in the shop.
Right.
And I don't think people put enough focus on it because there's body language communication, there's the telephone communication, there's the computers and the software. and
Marketing,
everything.
sometimes we call marketing communication.
Communication. There's so many things. So let's kind of break that down a little bit for our viewers.
Great.
What's some of the different? I mean, I know we just touched them, but let's expand on that a little bit.
So there is voice communication, written communication, many of the things that you've just touched on. And what I focus on is the voice communication part of the business. So these are personal interactions through technology, the phone in a lot of cases, but not exclusively the phone. But these are personal interactions with vendors, customers, other employees, the owner. It's the process of communication. How do we make sure that when one person wants to talk to another person, that we can make those dots connected? And that's the area of communication that I focus on.
One of the biggest problems we have at any shop is miscommunication.
That's
And
another
it's-
type of communication right there.
Right,
Yes.
miscommunication. The information doesn't get from the front to the back, or it doesn't get from the customer to the service advisor, or it doesn't get. And that's where we get into so much trouble and lose so much money, because besides the inefficiency and the thing in productivity, but that's where the warranties come back. All of the issues, broken things happening, misdiagnosis for items. I mean, the list goes on and on. Lost customers because you didn't listen properly, or something in your shop didn't listen, whether it's a tool, whether it's a person. That is the number one, I think, killer of
100%.
revenue and production at a shop.
You're right on, and it comes down to where does that impact the customer? Because any point of miscommunication or poor communication, that can ultimately lead to customer disappointment. And that's one key area that I focus on is how have we communicated with the customer? What have they communicated back with us? And at these various touch points, these are opportunities to disappoint a customer. So we want to remove those opportunities to disappoint a customer and make sure that we have clear, consistent communication. It's accurate, meaningful, and timely. And where we take out the accuracy or the timeliness or the meaning of that communication, now it can ultimately impact our customer. So what was said, when was it said, how are we communicating this back to the technician now? There's an approval, an expectation was established with the customer. So it definitely, it starts at the front counter, moves back to the shop, comes back to the front counter, moves to the customer. There is a conduit typically in our front office. And that conduit is the service advisor in many cases. So how do we work with that service advisor to ensure they understand the expectation, that the owner has communicated that, they have the tools that they need to effectively communicate. And then it's measured. So communication is measurable.
So I know your background is process engineer,
Yeah.
right? So when you were in the shop and asking all these questions, trying to figure out, where are the dropped communications or drops in processes, what is the number one thing that you always saw was the biggest miscommunication?
The miscommunication was establishing a customer expectation.
Okay.
So, like in simple terms, when are we going to follow up with the customer? Do they know that? Have we established that expectation? And then are we fulfilling that expectation once it's been established? In the sales world, right? An estimate is prepared. Well, an inspection is completed, then an estimate is prepared. Now that's communicated to the customer. Has the entire estimate been communicated? And then what has the feedback been, from the customer back to us?
Okay.
In the shop. So these are two areas of, loss or miscommunication, and, accurately translating that back. So we want to make sure that, everything that we're communicating to the customer is meaningful to them. And then when they're approving work, that we have that accurate and they understand how much this is going to cost.
There we go.
So, yeah.
Well, and this is one of the things that I think technology has changed entirely, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way that we do all this communication.
Right.
For example, VoIP, right? With I know one of the first VoIP systems I was exposed to back in the day, Kim, was
They're not allowed to say that at ATI. It's
yeah,
for
or
the-
not at ATI, we're at
You're gonna
Hawaii.
get fined.
So bondage was one of the ones that I was
Right.
first exposed to
Yep.
way back.
Yeah.
And this was more for international calling and stuff. My parents would call back home, which is, different country, different continent even. And that's how they were doing that, right? And it blew my mind because before it was calling cards. You would have to get a calling card and you go through
Yes.
all these steps to get to it. And then with the introduction of VoIP, it's like you could do it straight from the computer. Then Skype and all this stuff came around that had
Magic
that.
Jack.
Magic Jack, especially that one. There we go. So stuff like that, right? And now we've got this kind of technology that's been around for a little bit,
Right.
but it's trickling into the automotive space
Yes.
more and more.
Right.
So I know with that technology, we can have communication is just unlocked
Yes.
to a point where it was never before. I mean, we have remote advisors now that can work remotely in a
Correct.
sense. And because of this technology, they're able to still not drop any communication. So I know with inbound, yeah, you guys kind of, that's what you specialize in.
Correct.
So what is something that inbound does that other systems might not be doing?
So Inbound is a comprehensive digital communication platform. It's just a fun way to say that we really do a lot that ties the feature set and capabilities to making sure that we have a consistent communication capability from the shop. And that you touched on one thing, which is what is my workplace? Our workplace was almost completely uprooted in COVID.
Yeah.
So shops that were using digital communication systems like Inbounds were able to be very quick and nimble with that. And it's something so simple as just running off of your cell phone, but communicating from the shop. So incoming calls are still coming through. We haven't had to change the way that a customer contacts us. When I'm calling out, I'm still calling from the shop's asset, which is their phone number. And it looks like it's coming from the shop, but I can also have remote workers. So that's part of it. And then what happens when you lose power or internet?
Ooh.
Or somebody drives through your front window and takes out your service desk.
Let's hope that's not happening too often.
I have 2 customers
No.
that's happened to.
Wow.
Yeah, and one of them was on video. It was terrifying, but it's a big. So this now gets into business continuity, which honestly could be a completely separate conversation and podcast. Business continuity and disaster management and these types of planning sessions. But it's important to know that you have the ability to communicate how you want, where you want, and when you want with your customer. And then they also have the ability to do that as well. Then we plug in the other components like call recording and system integration and making sure that when a call comes in, the advisor not only knows who it is, but we're presenting that information right in the shop management platform, driving that efficiency. Now we, as the business, have that presence of mind to know more about this customer than just somebody's calling me, thanks for calling ABC Auto. How can I help you? Right. But I now have their entire service record in front of me.
Just pulls right up.
It's there. I saw that they were in 3 months ago and they had, you joined declined services. And now this is sitting in front of me by the time I finish saying, thank you for calling.
Wow.
I'm laughing thinking about for historical context.
Oh, that's okay. I got to write that one down. So how do you?
For historical context,
There we go.
when stuff would go out at the shop before the voice over IP and all of that, we would do the call forwarding.
Right.
So yeah, you'd pick it up and you'd do like a *68 or something,
Okay.
and then you would put in the phone number you wanted the calls to route
Wow.
to.
So how many times do people forget to turn that back off?
Oh, yeah, it's a lot for sure.
Well,
Or forget to turn it on.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I wanted to
Go
talk.
ahead.
You just mentioned about call recording for a moment,
Yeah.
and anyone that owns a business that does not have call recording, I don't care what industry you're in, I don't care what you do, you are crazy. Because not only are you crazy, you're missing a golden opportunity for training, quality control, and so many things. It's a diagnostic tool. We love to spend money on diagnostic tools and buy every dang tool and scanner and whatever
that's true.
Snap-on has to offer. And something as important of a diagnostic tool as call recordings, you're not paying for. I don't know. So just quickly on some, and we can do an entire episode,
yeah.
I think, on why you should record them. But it's not only, some people are like, well, it's a CYA thing, and it can be used for CYA thing, but that should be the least thing, because if you're training your people properly and they truly know how to handle the calls, we don't have as many CYAs.
Yeah,
Right.
CYAs cover your assets.
Assets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Good recovery.
what did James say that is a double squiggle?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
double
a double
squiggle.
squiggle. But if you're training your people properly, if you're using the quality control, you're using your call recordings diagnostic, you shouldn't have those moments. They will all but go away unless you have a rare instance of a lunatic customer. But still, if your person is trained properly to handle that on the other phone, then there's not an issue. And so we need to do that. We spend a tremendous amount of money and time to get our phone to ring. And where we break down is when people call the shop. It's just, it's crazy how people answer the phone. And if you're not listening, you're not going to know. You're going to be spending all this money and saying, why isn't all this marketing turning into appointments and then turning into
Right.
revenue?
Right. And then you call the marketing company and say, let's turn up the marketing. But it's not
Right.
producing still. And this is a key area where I specialize. So I'm glad you made the transition. I love to call the call recording the replay booth, because there are times when we need to have some customer accountability, right? So we might have to go back to the replay booth and find out. One example was the customer comes in and says, you told me that was $300, not $3,000. Well, let's go back to the replay booth, right, and figure that out. And then the amnesia lifts, and don't worry about that, because we don't want to use this with the intention of making some confrontation with the customer, but it's important to have the accountability. Now, you made the point perfectly. If we're using call recording in a meaningful way in our shop, we have the training and the development and the immediate feedback to know how well we're performing on the front counter and thinking through this. So distraction comes through on a call recording, right? But from the outside looking in, knowing that my service advisor, assessing if my service advisor is distracted, I can't get that to see a call count from the marketing company. How many times did this ad word produce a call? That doesn't tell me anything more than a call occurred. There's so much more about the advisor's interaction with the customer. Are they welcoming and professional? Can the customer hear the advisor's smile? Something physically happens when I speak with a smile. My voice changes, my intonation changes, and these are the things that somebody that is reviewing calls will hear and know. Now, those are some of the higher level parts, but we want to get deeper into the skills part of call handling and service advisor training. Consistency is key. So if we don't have consistency, then we're not really able to move down the path of training and development. So if we have call recording, that's the start of this, and then we have to use this in a consistent manner. If it's just something every 6 months, somebody overheard a call and they're like, I'm going to grab this call and whack my service advisor in the head. Now this becomes a beating instead of a meeting. We really want to have,
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. So we don't want to have company beatings. We really want to have company meetings, right?
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. Okay. You make your decisions. It's fine. However you want to do it. But it's important to have the consistency around that. So having quick access to the recordings, get to the meaningful call recording, and then leverage things like AI to really make this a simple, intuitive process where even some of the things where I don't have to listen to call after call after call, I can have, technology really help facilitate that process.
I mean,
for
we
me.
do it at ATI. All of our calls are recorded, and we
Right.
listen to them and for training, and we play them, and we listen to them together and look at how can we improve that call? How could we have provided better service? Were we active listening? Were we smiling? Were we professional? All of those things. And it just, again, the communication piece of it is, are we truly actively listening? So many times people are just like, well, I talked to them. It's like you talked to them, but you didn't listen. That you missed all of these things that were said in the phone call. And it's funny, we have a marketing we have a marketing class, of course, but we have answering the phone part one,
Mastering
the phone
Love
part
it.
1 and 2. And it's so funny because
The smile.
they will ask us, who should I send? And it's like anyone that answers your phone.
Anyone that answers the phone. That's a
But
good
they're
answer.
like, well, I don't need to send everybody, because the service advisor mostly answers the phone. But once in a while, my porter picks it up, or the tech. The process at the shop is service advisor the phone rings, we'll just say, 2 times in the process at a shop is service advisor 1 is responsible to pick it up. If service advisor 1 doesn't pick it up at 2 rings, service advisor 2 better pick it up on a 3rd ring. Service advisor 2 doesn't pick it up on a 3rd ring, then it goes to, I don't know, the lead tech out there,
Yeah,
and they better
Fords.
pick it up by the 4th ring. And then
Right.
if he doesn't pick it up, it goes out to the porter, and it's like this phone tree of I don't even know what that happens, but we don't think we have to do any training for the tech that sometimes answers phone, or the porter that sometimes, or the significant other that comes in, or
The owner
the owner. With everyone that answers your phone has
needs
to
training.
be trained.
Yes.
Has to be trained. We do something fun with our members sometimes, because when you can not hear it, the smile, we'll make them hang mirrors in front of
Yeah.
there
Sure.
with like funny
Yeah.
faces on them that they have to look in and smile. But
Right.
Yeah.
I haven't ever seen anything in my life that people spend so much money in all businesses to get a phone to ring.
And we don't
then
do anything with it.
It's terrible.
Yeah, no
And
training.
let me just tell you this, and I'm gonna just whisper it, just because I have to. No, I'm gonna yell.
Lean in a little bit.
I'm gonna lean in. But when you're chewing and eating and doing all those things on the phone, we can hear you. So we can hear you, whatever bodily gases you're releasing, whatever stuff.
Got real.
We hear it. We hear it on the phone.
Yeah.
It's multitasking, Kim.
Yeah, no, it's not. Don't take my phone call while you're eating lunch at the counter. Don't.
Oh, my
I
goodness.
I don't understand.
It comes through and affects the customer's experience. We heard in your class this morning about, how many one-time, one and done customers come, right? That phone call is the first time I can make a first impression, and I have to do that within 15 seconds. So if I'm finishing that last bite of my lunch, or I pull up the phone here and I finish shouting something back to the technician, I'm just not setting this baseline for how we're going to have this customer relationship. This first call on the first customer exposure is the first and only opportunity I can make that outstanding customer impression. And if I miss that, I can't redo it, right? It takes a long time, and we have to hope that they're going to come back and call us back again. So does the service advisor even have the expectation of how, do they know what should be done to make that happen properly, and what is unacceptable behavior when they're answering that phone? So that's really where it starts, is establishing the expectation and the training protocol around that.
There we go.
Can I put out a
go
plea
ahead.
real quick? Can you please buy your people headsets too? Whatever business you're at, the days of somebody having to hold a cradle in there while they're like typing in a whatever, get a headset.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I just saw a commercial, like an old commercial back in the day, or a historical context commercial, where they had the first wireless headset was like the normal phone with the cord, but like it's like a little ear that goes around it, and then it holds the phone, and then that's
Yes,
what made
it
me
did.
think of that.
And for historical context, there we used to buy a wedge. So there was this big foam wedge that was on an angle like a wedge, and you taped it on the phone. So when you did this,
What?
was,
A little
it was
banana
a
thing,
big-
right.
A
Wow.
big foam wedge. But get your people headsets for Pete's sakes.
Oh my
The
goodness.
proper tools. You all make sure you have every tool out in the shop. Please, everybody needs proper tools. Everybody
Yes.
needs them.
Everyone needs them.
Yeah.
Yep. That's true.
Well, I wanted to bring up something, right? So I'm going to throw a couple of controversial things into this as well. Data.
Jason loves to stir the pot.
Well, data, right? Everybody's concerned about their data. Facebook sells it.
Yep.
Whoever sells it, everybody's concerned about data. That's why they want to get rid of TikTok. That's why they want to do all this stuff. Everybody's concerned about data.
Right.
Nobody cares about data as much as they should. The most important data that we have is our phone calls, in a sense, because it really sets the tone. And one thing that you brought up with inbound is that as soon as the customer calls, that data is being pulled up, right? And we have all this capability now where with the call recordings, that's data that's going to be stored. Now we're going to have AI that's going to really make some even more tremendous growth in our industry, even from a phone standpoint, with analyzing calls and whatnot, right? How we're doing training, how we're using certain data to figure out what we need to train on. Oh, there it is.
That's the phone.
Wow, they still sell it.
There it is.
Yeah.
The old
Home Depot selling.
Yeah.
So are you one of the people that are making Home Depot stock phone wedges?
Well, with that being said, right, with all this data situation and everything that's going on, what are you guys doing as far as how are we correlating, phone calls with customers and shop management? I mean, there's so much data involved.
Right.
So how are we keeping everything kind of organized?
So I heard two things in there, and I'd like to address both. One is security, and one is really process flow and efficiency.
Of course, you got to bring back the process.
Let me bring back the process a little bit. So security is important first. So I think there are big question marks in the world about who owns the data.
Yeah.
Right. Once you feed it into an AI engine, who owns it? These answers are forthcoming, right? I don't know that anybody can stick a fork in the plate and say this is who owns it. So I think that the importance is what's the security of the data that's put into that model, and then what happens when it comes back out. So having a partner in any aspect where data is utilized that has security protocol in place to store your data, so your phone call is your data. Right, that recording is your asset, and it also is a connection of trust between you and your customer.
Yes.
So we hear about data breaches and leaks and all of this stuff all the time, right? Usually it's credit cards, but what about other data? We don't want data leaks.
Your DNA now.
Right.
Man.
So make sure that you understand your vendor's data security protocol. Who are they sharing information with, if they're sharing information, and what's the storage and security around that storage and all of these components. So security is one aspect of it, and then on the other hand, we have really the how it works.
Yes.
So how do we take the data now and make that meaningful to drive efficiency for the customer and an effective efficiency for the service advisor, and then drive greater effectiveness in the customer communication. When an event happens, we talk about triggers and what this is going to, again, this is a process flow, but a call happens, a customer calls, and immediately we have a piece of information that is useful. And when you think about your service advisor's process, they're going to do something with that anyways, right?
Yeah,
What are they going to do? They're going to search it up.
Yeah.
Well, let's just do that for them and do that in a way that presents the information that we know we're going to get and we're going to need at some point in this conversation, and then basically leave them on the calendar.
Awesome.
Right. So we have all of the customer information based on one piece of data that your phone system can feed into your shop management platform, present this to the service advisor. And now I have the data that I need that's in my SMS to really facilitate this customer interaction. And then, oh, by the way, the customer really feels special because they're hearing like, me, you get me, right?
Yeah.
And they love that. Who doesn't love like, oh yeah, I was in 3 months ago, and we had that conversation, and we want to make sure that we're communicating that as part of our flow. But that's how that data can be used. And then ultimately, when the call is completed, we can take that recording, attach it,
wow,
and transcribe it, and run this through a model so that you can see certain pieces of information that are important. Did we ask for the appointment? The percentage.
No, I'm going to tell you right now.
The percentage of time that we don't even ask somebody to come in. I'm going to look over here.
Yeah.
Please just ask them to come in and see you.
Oh my God.
Please. So it's really it comes down to that. So we can take that recording, make this now part of their permanent record. This is going to become part of your permanent record, and use that for additional meaningful interactions in the future. And then it comes back full circle to the training of the service advisor. So that customer interaction now is analyzed. We have a variety of relevant information that we score. So we can have, 10, 15, 20 different attributes or key performance indicators that AI will help us pull out of this call. And we prompt, like, one of my favorite prompts is, tell me on a scale of like 1 to 10 or 1 to 100, how much did the service advisor care for this customer? Mm-hmm. So sometimes we call that like a sentiment analysis, but more specifically and maybe more deeply is going to be empathy and the care and confidence building, and how much did we really care about this customer? So we want to give all of this information. Now this is kind of the end of the process. We're going to do the feedback loop to the service advisor and help them understand how that interaction actually took place.
That's awesome.
The thing I love about it with being so data driven, it takes the emotion out of it. So when you're using it for training, the call reviews, all of those things, and you have actual data, then there's nothing to kind of argue or get defensive about, or you're not attacking someone as a person or personally. And that's without data many times, and you see it in all the studies about employee engagement, culture, and psychology of without data, the employees feel like you're attacking them as a person. You know, they for some reason, I don't know why. I think that's a weird thing, but it's, I don't have that gene. I don't know. I'm missing something because I'm like, whatever.
Well, you're trying to improve, right? Some people have struggles with reflecting.
Yeah, but when you have actual data and you can say on these occasions and during this specific call, here's what was heard and here's the data, here's the analytics, and that the other thing having that data is you can show a pattern, you can show a trend, you can work on that and then see if it's getting better, if it's improving. Because so many times I see people try to give feedback to somebody. They're like, yeah, that one of those calls you did this or that, and they're like, well, which call? When? What?
Yeah, so many calls.
I don't know. It was whatever from Monday. Which call on Monday? Like I thought I did a great job all day on Monday. They don't even know. So how do you expect somebody to do better?
Right.
And train and deliver the information to them in a way that they can understand.
And I kind of want to tie this into from a technician perspective.
Right.
As a tech, we use live data to do diagnostics. We also use data logs, right? So, you go on a test drive, you're data logging fuel trims and whatnot, even from a tuning perspective. So this is that version for the front office. And for any business for that matter, is we are looking at our data, we're using it as a diagnostic tool, and then we're using to see how we made the corrections once we've trained on it. Have we made the corrections?
Right.
And what is the data telling us? And I really think this is just the tip of the iceberg, right? Where with all the AI functionalities that are going to come forth, and how we're already able to kind of make avatars and all this stuff, right? With people's voices, we're going to be able to take all this data that we're bringing in and really do something else with it even more tremendous. And I don't want to go into any speculation, but there's a lot of stuff coming down the road.
I think it is. And it comes back to how can we use this effectively? So the biggest barrier that I see today as a communication expert in the independent automotive repair industry is the heavy lift of time. It's very, very time intensive to go through and listen to calls. So that's where AI comes in. And that's, the process I'm trying to enable is make that super efficient. We still have to go back in and do the review process. So I want to make sure that, an owner understands that having technology doesn't fix the problem. Seeing the codes that the car has captured doesn't fix the problem. We still have to have the qualified technician repair it. So in this case, the owner, the coach is going back to say, okay, we've diagnosed this, and the system can feed the issue. That's where we can take that heavy lift of time out of the equation and make that more intentional for the call reviewer, who might be the owner, it might be a hired coach, it could be a general manager.
Yeah.
But that heavy lift of time, now if we take that out, we can drive the consistency of the review process. And I love that analogy because it does come back. Now we've made the adjustment. Let's go do the test drive again. And now let's see what data the system is giving us. I love the analogy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I love this topic, and this is very exciting. And I really appreciate you being here, talking with us about it, speaking with us about it. And please, people, please train everyone that answers the phone, including yourself, how to properly answer the phone, and have a recording system, for Pete's sakes. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Collect the data, get the system. Stop trading. We have too many minutes of a day. We're just trading a minute for a minute, a minute for a minute, a minute for a minute.
Yeah.
We gotta
Analyze.
close that gap a little bit, or we're always gonna be chasing our tails. And
Ask for the appointment.
ask for the appointment. Used to sometimes when I call place, I'll be like, you really should ask me for an appointment right now and ask me to come in. Do you want to offer me any? Oh yeah. I was just gonna do that. And it's like, no, you weren't.
You weren't.
No, you were not. You absolutely were not. I was just hanging up. But there's that. Anyway, stay safe and make good choices. And thank you again for being here.
It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you. Use your data.